All right, so a bit of some technical language to go through here, and that is going to be a function. So a function is a correspondence or rule that assigns every element of set D to exactly one element of set R. And you've probably in your past math classes seen that. So if I have x and y values here, assuming this is a function of x, then one x value, for example, 1, only goes to one y value, maybe 3. If I have later in my table of values or in the graph or whatever it is, I see that 1 also goes to 4, then this is no longer a function because at this point, one input or one domain has been set to two different outputs. And so that's going to say that it mean that it's not a function or specifically a function of x. Now you can have the reverse of that. You plug in 1 and you get out the result of 3. And later you plug in, let's say, -4, and you again get the result of 3. So your domain is still being paired to just one output, but the fact that it's the same output repeated isn't a problem. And we'll take a look at that in just a second here. So specifically talking about this, if I were to kind of diagram it a little bit, if I just think of relations between numbers and whatnot, then I can have something like x equals y squared, which is not a function. We'll graph that in just a moment here. It's still a relation, but it's not part of functions, where where the domain is always paired to one range. But something like y equals x squared, and again, we're talking about functions in terms of x, so functions of x here. Now, the vertical line test, we'll read through this and then go through a bit of graphing for it. The easiest test to see if something is a function is that when we have the graph of it, we'll kind of slide our pencil along it, or just a vertical line. And if that graph, the pencil or the vertical line ever intersects a graph at more than 1 point, so if it's hitting at 2 points, 3 points, etc., then the graph is then the graph is the graph of a function. Sorry, let me re-say that. If it ever hits it more than 1 point, then it is not a function. But if there is no vertical line, this is worded kind of in the negative, if there is no vertical line that intersects in more than 1 point, then it is a function. And let's take a look at this. So kind of the easiest ones traditionally to give us an example is y equals x squared. Now that graph looks like this right here. It's a parabola. We should be very familiar with it. If I were to take a vertical line, any vertical line and move it along here, there's no place that it hits more than 1 point. And so it passes the vertical line test. So this is a function. Yes, is a function. All right. On the other hand, if we have the equation of x equals y squared, this is no longer a function of x. Now it's actually a function of y, but we really don't consider those. We consider just functions of x, of our input here on the x-axis. So what this graph looks like is a sideways parabola here. And so now if I take a vertical line here, there's many places that it hits at 2 points. Okay? There's some places where it doesn't hit anything, there's no points, and there's one place where it hits at just 1 point. But if there's any point on the graph where it hits more than 1 point, then it's not a function. So no, not a function. And just very quickly to kind of illustrate this one right here, if I were to solve for y, as you would typically have it graphed, take the square root of each side, and I'm going to get y. I'm going to switch these, so y squared equals x, and take the square root of both sides. I'll get y is equal to plus or minus the square root of x. So it's giving me two different output here at that point. And so that's it's just not going to work out for us as far as being a function of x. Hope that helped.